starting recording because our recording failed last week, unfortunately. Okay, and here's Olga's shells and my ashtray. Okay, Olga, I think you're on mute there. Can't hear you.
Okay, how do I turn this off? There you go.
Okay, we can
Now
hear you.
I turned the wrong one on.
Okay. Okay, and Tim's up too. It's a late night for Tim.
Oh, hi Tim.
Hi.
Aria, hi Aria.
Hello, Olga. Hi, Tim. Hi, Henry.
I have a special guest
Hi.
here with me today.
Who's that, Olga?
I have a new friend. Her name is Hazel. Do you want to say hello?
Hello, how are you?
Hey, Hazel. We're okay. We're alive here.
Yeah, well, I hope we stay that way.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I met Hazel this week in my shop, and she was telling me some very interesting experiences that she was having or has been having. And I invited her to join us in the call and to sing New You, and that might help her, with what's been happening. And so here we are. So she was really interested to join us on the call today. So we're just waiting for Debbie, are we?
Yeah, I'll see if she's online on Facebook, but I guess we can start. Maybe I gotta try to remember to send out a reminder, but I forget what day it is and what week it is, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's Friday and it's call time and it's 11 o'clock. But here we are.
It goes quick. Now, I also sent an email over to Chris Burrell. Some of you may remember Chris Burrell. And unfortunately, he's not too well at the moment. He's had a heart attack. So he feels like he's been attacked. And he said he'll catch up with us when he gets better. But he's really not doing too well at the moment.
That's a shame. I actually emailed him today too to remind him about the call, and I asked him about crowdfunding because he told me he's well read about all of that, and so I asked him to message me about that. But because we're saying we might want to do a crowdfunding for our total universal rainforest plan because the other means keep coming into roadblocks. So in the meantime, we're going to be proactive and maybe start a crowdfunding campaign. So that'll be a new adventure. We'll see what we can do with that. Just maybe go to the busy streets around here, like down by the Huntington Beach Pier and the downtowns of the different cities around, and make YouTube videos. And yeah, I don't know.
Oh, is that what that is? I was wondering what crowdfunding was.
Yeah, it's like there's a bunch of different websites that do it. But yeah, you just get people to donate as little as possible, and I don't know or the difference between all the different websites. I did look into it at one time, but I don't remember. And so yeah, because we have the project plan, we know how to plant rainforests. We know we're a place we can buy hundreds of acres of land next to the ocean for just a couple $100,000, and then we figured a few $100,000 more isn't more than enough to get lots of trees and people and soil and wood chips and all this stuff down there to grow a rainforest and get people to come woofing or however they want to support us, and we can get it going and show the world how it's done. And by that time, we should have the bigger funding to replicate it elsewhere, or even before then. But it's a way to instigate and start a new adventure. So hopefully we can get a hold of Chris soon before we just go with the wrong platform for the crowdfunding campaign. But yeah, that'll be cool because
Okay.
it's easy to talk to people about that because everybody can relate to how wonderful the trees are and forests and the natural environment, and we can tell them about the project plan that we have because it talks about primary water, the endless supply of water that's beneath the Earth's surface that nobody learns about in school or university, and we can tell them about free energies and different healing modalities and natural building techniques and all these things. So yeah, it'll be a cool new adventure. So maybe in a week or two we'll have that crowdfunding campaign up and running, and we'll see where it goes from there.
And just speaking of your crowdfunding, in Australia they have like gardens and things that community can come to, and people can put in, you know, plants and vegetables, and different people will tend to it, and basically the community looks after it. So I guess it'd be similar to that, like community gardens, but just on a larger scale with trees and, you know, running and rivers and things like that.
Yeah, we can create lakes and from the primary water in the desert and feed the forests and the gardens by gravity, and we can have free energy. And yeah, that's the idea. We can show people that they don't need. They can just learn to be self-sufficient with the all-natural environment. And yeah, step one is the natural environment that supports us here on Earth because we have these physical bodies. So it's just kind of like a demonstration. And yeah, it's pretty cool. Have you seen the project plan that we have on the Turf website, Olga?
I've had a quick look at it, but I haven't actually looked into it, no.
Okay, well, I can always email it to you if you need, but
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. Yeah, it talks about all the different, methods of, farming and adding biology to the soil, as well as the cool technologies like the Russian pyramids and scalar light technologies, and then natural building techniques and how we'll implement it with our Nations United Universal University, and yeah, just the healing modalities so people can heal themselves to have energy to partake in the program and in the projects. So yeah, it's cool stuff. So anyway, I forgot your friend's name already. Was it Heather?
Hazel.
Hazel, sorry. Do you
Yeah,
want to
Hazel.
share some of your experience, Hazel, that you were telling Olga earlier in the week?
Well, which one am I going to tell him if I've experienced that bloody many of them over the last few years? It started really in 2011. I was in the house and I could hear this horrible noise outside, and I said to my friend, "Can you hear that?" He said, "Hear what? I can't hear anything." I said, "It's like a whizzing electrical type noise outside." And he said, "No, no." I said, "I'm going to leave you here and I'm going outside for a walk." So I went over to the other side of my street and I spun around to the mountains and looking at the sky, and the sky was full of these round metal floating objects. There was hundreds of thousands of them. The sky was full of them. And it was like electrical sound, like a buzzing, humming electrical sound when I got outside away from the house. And I seen this and I thought to myself, God, the world coming to a bloody end. What's this? What is this all about? But I seen it, but nobody else did. Well, nobody ever told me that they'd seen it. I came back inside and I told Viv about it, and I said to him, "Go out and have a look." He said, "No, I'm not going to bother." to come out in the veranda. I mean, I didn't even have to leave the house. I'm sitting on the veranda and I can see, well, from one end to the other sort of the world, because part of the arising of the world from trees and mountains from my veranda. But I did look out, and then I decided that I needed to see a more scope, so I went outside and seen it. Well, that happened in 2011, and other things then followed that. I was visited by one of these green and like lizard type thing with a huge head, about 7.5, nearly 8 foot tall, a thin green and cream. It had like a crocodile skin on its belly, and it stood at the entrance door behind the TV. I couldn't see its hands and I couldn't see its legs or feet, but from waist up I seen its arms, its part arms, not its hands, and its face and everything. It was really, really strange. It had a big, huge head, and then its face came down like a V, tiny, little V, and its tiny, little lips and sharp eyes, sort of like a lion's eyes, half closed, with a full mature line. That's what was his eyes, and then a flat nose with 2 little holes at the bottom. And I was so scared. I had the flu, and I had been running a little bit of temperatures on and off with the flu, and that, and just feeling so miserable. And I was asleep. I was laying on the lounge room chair, and I crept the blanket up and up and up and up and up. It stood there, but it never said anything. But it just stood there looking at me, and half eyes, half closed. I'm thinking, oh, go away, go away. What are you? Who are you? What are you doing in my house? Anyway, that was that one, and he just disappeared. He just like went in thin air and disappeared. The next time I had a vision, I seen there was a house that was empty behind me for nearly 2 years. And the trees weren't very big back then, and I could see straight underneath the house. And I was at the window of my kitchen, and I'm washing up a few things. I looked out and I could see this shaped man with fire coming, like a fire thing coming on his back of his back. And he was whizzing really fast, and he would come back with it, and then he'd go again. And then on the floor was a golden, something really golden, shiny and gold. And he had these 2, 3 little stuffed dolls, which I've seen. I'm 73, and these dolls I had when I was 2. Just like the dolls that I had when I was 2, given to me for a Christmas present. And that they were floating in the air, and they turned into men. And you'll laugh about this, they didn't have any clothes on, but they did have underpants that went back to my grandfather's day on. And that's all they had. They never took their eyes off this thing, never. They were exactly the same. The 3 of them were exactly alike, but they come from the dolls to humans. And they sat on this gold bench. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm thinking, I've never seen anything like that before. What the bloody hell is it? What is it? I'm saying to myself, oh, I was starting to get really, really scared by then. Anyway, I thought to myself, oh, gee, I started getting creepy. And I thought, well, they're under this person's house. Admittedly, there is nobody there. What on earth are they doing there? Now, all of a sudden, they disappeared. They went. The next time I seen it again, this was, about a year later, around the same time. They seem to travel in winter here in Rockhampton. You know, the beginning of winter, or the middle of winter, more than likely, more for the winter that I have seen them. And I've seen them so many times. I've seen the UFOs in the sky. I've seen how they talk to one another. They have a light. They have 3 lights. They have a green, a red, and a blue. And they talk to one another with that. I have seen that with my own eyes here in Rockhampton. And they talk to one another. There was one over in the, the south side and the western side, and they were talking to one another. And I went and brought myself a camera, binoculars that they have on a boat, you know, the really good ones that they can see way miles and miles and miles out at sea from them. And I put them on it. And they were flying saucers, and they had 3 different coloured lights. Yellow is what they go on all the time, but then when they're talking or communing to one another, they use those colours. And I thought, well, my goodness gracious me. So I have seen them in the skies, and I have seen them in daylight in the sky. It's flying, very silvery. They're really, I don't know how they can fly. Like, God, what do they fly on? What, you know, it's a silver case. And another night I was over, we went for tea, and our dump was straight across the road from the hotel where we had tea that night. And I smoked at that time, and I went out for a cigarette. And I'm looking at the dump, and there was 3 of them at the dump out there, and they were getting stuff from the dump. And they had like doors down. They're on the ground, and it looked like they were taking things from the dump. There was 3 of them. And I couldn't believe it. I just could not believe that these round metal things, they're called UFOs or whatever, from another planet, somewhere in the galaxy, were at the dump. And there was 3 of them lined up there together. I didn't say anything. I didn't show anybody anything. I kept it to myself. Sometimes here I get really, really scared. I really don't like talking about them in my house because they've had things on my roof in a metal box. I think that they had been listening to my conversations, which I'm really, really scared to talk about them even here, because I don't want them to draw here.